Hi everyone, it's Brett from BYFC Fitness Coaching. I thought I'd give some tips for what to do coming up to Christmas into New Year, just to keep things on track. We know that things can go pear-shaped at this end of the year. You might have all those bookings for friends' parties, for work dues, etc. But there is a way around it, and part of that, and probably the most important part of the whole thing, is preparation. So you know what to expect at Christmas. You're probably having the similar type of meals you've had before. You probably know what to expect at Christmas parties, for work and so forth. Normally a fair bit of alcohol involved. So plan ahead. So if you get your fitness timetable, start slotting in the times between now, obviously Christmas is not far away, a couple of days away, and New Year. And start putting in even things like walking, whether you stick to the absolute plan we've got or what plan you may have in place yourself. Try and put that in ahead of time, up to the 2nd of January. Put it in. If you have to, you can delete them later, but at least they're there. So we introduce some accountability. So use the fitness calendar. If you don't have one, make one. Just use a normal calendar, but just allocate fitness specific stuff to it. And that will add accountability. All right, the other thing is to talk about food. So again, if you know ahead of time where you're going and what to expect, then you can kind of factor in how you should eat for that day. So for myself at Christmas, it's very common to have kind of a mixed lunch, dinner, and our breakfast is often very small. So I know I'm not going to consume too many calories at breakfast, so I'm going to have most of those calories at the Christmas meal. And that's fine. So for me, I don't need to make too much preparation. And we're also not big eaters of dessert, so I could take that into account. So at the moment, I'm trying to allocate around about 2,800 calories a day. You should know from the work you've done with me or your own work what your calorie count should be. So factor that in. Anticipate the amount of food you'll be eating or calorie intake you'll be having. Just factor it in. So that basically means you can take into account if you're going to have desserts, if you're going to have chocolates, if you're going to overindulge in some, sauces like the cream sauces or cheese sauces, gravies, whatever, you can factor that in. You don't need to be crazy about it, but at least get some idea of where you can expect that calorie intake for the day to be. The reason for this is the last thing you want to feel is the day after you feel guilt. We're trying to eliminate guilt. We want to pull out judgment here. So if you've done as much work as you can to prepare for the food and alcohol and factor that into your calorie intake, the next day it's not about guilt. It's not about judgment of yourself. We've got to get rid of that. It's got to go. Okay, so the rest of the time through that Christmas period and through that New Year period, what we're trying to do is keep maintenance level. So nobody expects to come out of this a couple of kilos lighter. That's not going to happen. Best of luck if it does. What we're trying to do is maintain where you're at now. So it's not a bad idea to get a good idea where your body stat, your body dimensions, your before and after photos, where all that's at right now. And we want to keep that status through the next week and a half, 2 weeks. And then bang, at the end of that period, you should be completely proud of yourself for having maintained where you're at. We don't want to blow it out. That's the last thing we want to do. We just want to maintain where we're at. So keep on with your macros, get as close to them as you can. Establish that reasonable calorie intake for this period, so we're not blowing out our food intake. Come back to basic stuff, look at portion control. So when you're feeding up like from a buffet at Christmas, look at your plate, put your proteins on first. Your processed ham, if you're going to have processed ham, your turkeys, your lamb, whatever, put that on first, and then start distributing some carbohydrates, your potatoes, your vegetables around that. The main thing through this period too is not just think about the food. You're there with friends, you're there with family. Talk, walk. During the day, if you normally sit around the table and all that food there, if you're constantly being bombarded with images of food, even if you're not hungry, you're going to eat it. So at some point, get up, move around, go for a walk. If you've got your dog, take him for a walk, right? Take some friends for a walk, even if it's only a short one. But you're going to feel so much better the second day or the day after Christmas or New Year that you did that. And I suppose above and beyond everything, main thing is have a great time this season. Look forward to it. Look forward to the time you're going to spend with your family and friends. It's a special time of the year. Make it special. But do not come out of this period feeling guilty or embarrassed or judging yourself for what you may have done. Plan ahead. It will help a lot. All right. Everyone have a great Christmas, New Year, and I'll see you in 2017.